Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to thank you again for joining us today for our webinar, The Democratization of Data. In today's presentation, we will walk you through how online communities help brands like Elle, UPS, and Rent-A-Center fuel growth across the organization. My name is Ashley Wolf. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager here at Fuel Cycle, and I'm very excited to have you all with us today. Before we start, I have a few housekeeping items I just wanted to take care of. So we will have a Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. So if you have any questions at any time throughout today's presentation, please feel free to submit them to either the question or chat box inside the GoToWebinar interface. We also have, and then we will catalog them throughout and come back to them at the end of the presentation. I also wanted to mention, if you haven't joined us before, we have a substantial catalog of case studies, white papers, webinars, and industry resources located on our website at fuelcycle.com. And I encourage all of you to take a look at them when you have the time. So today's webinar should take about 25 to 30 minutes, and then we will go into a 10 to 15-minute Q&A session. And with that, I would like to introduce our presenter today, which is the amazing Rick Kelly.
That's a high bar.
Well, I think you deserve it. So Rick is our in-house expert on insights and customer experience, and we are thrilled to have him driving this presentation today. He has spent most of his career in the market research industry, working closely with clients and operations teams to ensure client needs are met. Also recently, in addition to his research background, Rick is now a member of the CX at Rutgers program. So welcome, Rick, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much, and more especially, thank you to the dozens of people who have joined us today. We're really excited to talk about the democratization of data, the topic that's near and dear to my heart. To kind of set the stage for today, we're going to talk about insights in general, customer experience, kind of the imperatives, set the stage and the motivation for our conversation today, and then move into 4 imperatives for the democratization of data. And in each case, we'll provide like a synopsis and a quick kind of case study. And of course, move into the exciting part around the Q&A, right? So first of all, insights are like a refrigerator. I really like this quote. It comes from Jeremy Bullmore at WPP, longtime ad executive, well-known name, because the moment you look into a refrigerator, a light comes on, right? And so I think that really speaks to the importance of getting lots of people to look inside the refrigerator, or looking inside our insights refrigerator, because we want lights coming on across an organization, right? So the more people who have insights in their hand about customers, customer preferences, whether you're in sales, marketing, operations, whatever it might be, you can ensure that you have people with light bulbs coming on in their head, right? And so it's imperative that we get insights and data and information outside just the customer experience department or insights department, and get it into the hands of everyone in the organization, so that we have the maximum number of lights coming on, and the organization can focus on serving customers best. So real quick here, we kind of have a bridge laid out, right? So there's a bridge to the perfect customer journey. In order for customer experience and a customer journey with your product, whether you're in services or CPG or retail, or you're in a B2B or B2C category, you need to have every department working in concert to focus on customers, right? So it's having marketing, customer experience, sales, product, finance. All these groups need to be working together to ensure there's a healthy connection to the customer experience. So, for a long time, I think insights have been the domain of the marketing or market research and insights group. And really, what we see as a trend across the industry, or across all industries, is the need to spread insights across the enterprise, so that everyone has information in order to make an optimum end user customer experience for the organization, ensure everyone works well together. So we've gone ahead and we've set the stage and the motivation for the need for democratization of data. just to quickly recap, is what we're looking for is we're looking for data and information to spread out, right, across the organization. Because when you spread information, data throughout the organization, it brings transparency. It allows people to develop new ideas about their particular domain expertise. And so it really is key for organizations to do this, right? I think there's a quote that we often share around here. It comes up a lot in some of our marketing materials because I think it's so key. It comes from Forrester, right? It's this is the age of the customer experience, or the age of the customer, right? So customer experience is key. And in fact, most organizations, whether you're a bank, or you're, again, a CPG or retail company, there's some level of commoditization or increased speed of business, and you need to have a phenomenal customer experience in order to succeed and build value in the long run. So 4 things that we're going to talk about today, specifically related to communities, thinking through like our fuel cycle community platform, through our fuel cycle platform, and how they fuel democratization of data. There's 4 things here. One, they're going to provide immediate access to the customer. 2 is they decrease the time between insight and question, right, which is really key. 3, building out custom dashboards, right, for your audience. And then 4, developing customer-centric decisions that fuel innovation. So, of course, an insights community is a great way to do this. And what we mean by insights community is we're looking at a group of, an enterprise's stakeholders, whether, they're customers or partners or whatever it might be. And they log into the community, they're taking surveys, they're providing feedback, discussion boards, posting photos and videos, and sharing feedback with the organization, both organic and outbound questions that this company has. So we think about the need for immediate access to voice of the customer. So as the pace of business accelerates, really what we see is brands need to be agile enough to make informed decisions within days, possibly hours, right? And so kind of faced with a perpetual disruption between brand and customers, it's very much an imperative that the time to insight, that there's as little latency as possible, right? So companies that have successfully done this, companies like an Amazon, Starbucks, Costco, these types of organizations continue to outperform the market because their customer intelligence forms a moat and protects them from disruptive upstarts and positions their core business for long-term growth. So developing that direct line of communication between the organization and the customers is the only way to ensure that employees actually can hear the voice of different stakeholders and map changes and behaviors in near real time, right? So that real-time component is so critical because a research cycle or insight cycle that takes months no longer exists. And I'm sure many of you on the phone, feel the pressure as well. It's, I can think back when I started in the industry, it's, months, then weeks, and now, it's moving more to real time, hours, days. We need more information faster to compete successfully in the long run. So one of the partners and brands that we work with is Elle. We've been working with them for over 2 years now. And so Elle is the world's largest fashion magazine, and they have developed the Elle Inner Circle community. It's kind of like a brain trust that enables both their internal teams and advertising partners to tap into the minds of their core audience, right? So rather than relying solely on the intuition of brilliant brand advertisers or whomever it might be, or editorial editors, they actually can connect directly with the consumer, get feedback immediately, and make business decisions in real time. So again, it goes back to they get insights, in moments, not months, and they've had a very successful community that's helped them do that. So second key element here is real-time data that flows across departments. And you notice when we talked about, we had the bridge image up earlier, I talked about the importance of connecting all these different departments and having insights flow throughout the enterprise. So rather than simply collecting data about customers and storing it in a database like a pure CRM solution, brands are seeking forms of intelligence that are tethered to the ebb and flow of the real world, right? So ebbs and flows at real-time pace. So they need to understand what's happening at different touch points, whether it's digital, physical, in-store, everywhere. They need to be monitoring what's happening real time. So as data flows within and between departments across the enterprise, online communities help ensure that company-wide efforts are coordinated, right, customer-centric, and competitive. Because, again, most companies are now competing on the basis of customer experience, it is vital that employees in every department, so whether you're front-end, like customer-facing salespeople, or back-end engineers, that they have access to customer insights. So, really the way we view it is that ultimately in the long run, companies that want to win on customer experience, you start a job on your first day, you're going to be handed your key card, your company email address, and you're going to be handed access to customer information so you can sit down and start having real-time impact on business decisions. And again, just to echo one of the themes that we've presented here and what we continually talk about is that siloing off data is inherently bad, right? Because it puts up walls between groups, and you want to have as much information spread across departments as possible. So, quick example, and if you ever had the time, I encourage you to look at the Rent-A-Center video that happens to be on our website. Fantastic success story. So Rent-A-Center has been with us for almost 2 years now, and the community started off as a small initiative, which is focused pretty squarely on insights, but it grew rapidly as word spread about the existence of the community, and now it affects operations, customer experience, sales, marketing, everything. Anywhere a customer is, the community touches something there. So what they've done is this has allowed them to embed their customer-centric philosophy for their customers throughout the throughout the organization, and has produced phenomenal ROI for the brand and deeper engagement and understanding of their customers that they could not possibly get elsewhere. Another key thing here. So our third point is the need for custom dashboards to filter and identify the most actionable insights for people, whatever role they play in the business. So data is only valuable if people know how to use it, right? Key thing. And so the most effective forms of intelligence allow their user to quickly spot patterns, test hypotheses, and have action items present in the data that they're looking at. So community insights engines like Fuel Cycles platform support customizable dashboards that turn raw data into charts, word clouds, using things like sentiment analysis, artificial intelligence for text analytics to pull out and highlight what your customers are talking about inside the community. And then we use these tools, tools like surveys or discussion boards or photos or videos to summarize that data, or we summarize the data from those, and they can share those with stakeholders as needed. So whether you're a C-level executive or your frontline manager, you need information and data, that's customized to your needs. So the UPS store has had the small biz buzz. There's a community of small business owners that they use to make insights and connect with their core stakeholders, right? So the small biz buzz has been around for several years. It's been featured in Forbes, similar publications, as UPS Store talks about the types of efforts that they're taking to connect insights to results. So it's gone, this is beyond just connecting the customer to the company, it's connecting it to results. So using dashboards and helpful information, multiple UPS Store teams are now tapping into the community to analyze customer sentiment on specific issues. So whether this is pricing, store design, messaging, ad testing, all these types of things, the UPS store team gets data and information in near real time that is oriented toward them and helps them understand their customer and be able to take action, most importantly. And finally, right, our fourth point here on the importance of democratization of data and how insights communities can help here is the need for customer-centric decisions to drive meaningful innovation, right? So we know that companies are increasingly focusing their efforts on customer experience. As we mentioned before, products, services, they're becoming more and more commoditized, right? And so we know from other sources and other research, especially the renowned Peppers and Rogers group, that over 80% of companies with strong customer-centric programs are the ones who end up outperforming their competition. And I think that's a theme that we've seen throughout this, is that companies that outperform competition have a deeper, stronger connection to customer, and they have deeper access to insights that spread across the organization. And in order to drive that customer-centric decision-making, you need insights in the hands of individuals and frontline managers to be successful. And of course, you need it in real time, right? It has to be in real time. So, we know that customer centricity has helped companies like Dollar Shave Club or Warby Parker rapidly take away market share from existing incumbents by focusing on elements like path to purchase or distribution, rather than just adding like another blade to a razor, or having a store on glasses or a sale on glasses in store. And so what they're doing is they're driving meaningful product innovation because they understand their customer. This is customer-friendly innovation, right, and focus on what their needs are. And again, this is imperative for, or speaks to the need for democratization of data. Quick example here, again, is Hertz. So Hertz has had the Hertz Hub for about 5 or 6 years now. And the community has thousands of Hertz's loyalty program members in the community in both the US and the UK. And so what it allows Hertz to do is to tap into a really incredibly valuable segment for them, their loyalty program members, and accurately identify and forecast evolving consumer preferences around things like car types, in-car GPS offerings, car valet at the airport where you can just drop off your car and walk into the airport without going to the rental station. And so focusing, having this access to the community and understanding the feedback that they're getting. And again, this is both organic feedback. Some of these ideas are things that community members have brought up on their own, and the outbound, requests for information that Hertz puts together to their customers has allowed them to develop customer-friendly innovation and to drive brand loyalty in a unique way. So what that means for Hertz is that they're able to use a broad array of tools to understand the customer, to drive innovation, and they have phenomenal engagement with their customer audience. So the loyalty program members who are in the Hertz Hub spend over 5 minutes a session, which if you know anything or are familiar with internet engagement, 5 minutes per session is really phenomenal engagement with the brand and speaks to the efforts of Hertz to put this together. So, just kind of summarize a little bit here, or start to summarize. So as more and more teams across an organization incorporate community insights into their workflows and decision-making process, you have developed a really positive, virtuous cycle that accelerates, because you're connecting with the organization, with your customers who are telling you what they need, which allows you to make improvements, and you kind of complete that cycle, driving engagement and value for your brand. So in this way, democratization of data and using the versatility of an insights community can become an incredibly valuable source of competitive or sustainable competitive advantage. And it becomes more powerful, more valuable over time as you develop more data and gather more insights. So just to again summarize the 4 points that we put together here. Community can fuel growth across the organization. It has a democratizing effect. It's imperative that everyone across an organization is tied to the customer, and this enables to do that. So it's providing them immediate access and near real-time information. Allows them to filter, develop the right dashboards for the right people to gather actionable insights, and to develop customer-centric innovation that leads to lasting brand value. And I think with that, we'll about wrap up, and I think we can move to questions. So if you have any additional questions and you haven't sent them in yet, please feel free to chat them in, and we'll try and address them.
Yeah, and we've got a handful of questions to start, but quickly I just wanted to thank you, Rick, so much for being here and just sharing with everybody how important it is for every organization, no matter what industry they are, to put the customer at the heart of their business, because like you said, we're living in the age of the customer. So how do you do that at the end of the day? So just wanted to start out with our first question that comes from Dave, and he's wanting to know, what do you see as the biggest obstacles to data democratization?
Dave, that's a great question. I think the biggest obstacles to data democratization, number one, you need to have executive support, right? This has to be a VP C-level decision to encourage people throughout the organization to share information. And then number two, you need to have the right tools in place. Because if you have efforts toward data democratization, but don't have a tool to gather insights and to allow that democratization, then it's unlikely to be successful in the long run.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rick. Well, I have one coming in from April, which is kind of the converse of that, is, why do data democratization programs fail?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I would go back and I would say that the number one is lack of executive support could be a challenge to getting data democratization off the ground. I would say education is imperative, making sure people understand what data they have access to and how they can use that data and how they're expected to use that data. So it comes with kind of a strong governance policy around how the company is expected to use, or company employees are expected to gather and use insights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that reminds me, some of those policies is our previous webinar, which is on the 6 principles of building superior customer experience. I encourage all of you to check that out. It's on our website. It actually goes through, how to create that governance and that culture to spread it throughout your organization. So I have another question coming from Jennifer. Wants to know, what is your recommendation for building a business case for ROI? What metrics would you use, and where should you start?
Yeah, so this is something that's unique to most businesses, right? Is building out ROI, because every organization has different goals for how they're going to measure ROI. And I would start with the end goal in mind. It's what's the goal behind an insights community or a data democratization program? What are you hoping to achieve out of it? And ultimately, the way that we suggest to our clients that they measure is that they trace business decisions made by the insights that come out of the community down the line. And so even if it's 2 months, 6 months, or a year down the line, we want to follow decisions all the way down. And so this can be a bit of an effort, but at the same time, I think it's worthwhile to understand how the spread of information and deeper connection with customers helps everyone improve insights and provide ROI. Mm-hmm. And again, just not to plug that Renta Center video too much, but they do discuss to some length, how they measured ROI, which for them was really the cost savings they're getting on the insights and the volume of insights that they're able to produce in a very short time.
Yes, and Rick's being very modest. I mean, we do this with all of our companies. This is the first step, is really defining what are their goals, because that guides how we develop our community. And that's why 2016 was such a great year for us. I think we had a 100% retention rate or close to it from our clients.
We'll round it to 100%.
Yes. So I have another question coming in from Zach. He wants to know, can you provide an example of a lower cost community versus higher cost? And then add, are there 20K communities as well as 200K communities?
Well, Zach, if you're looking to get a 200K community, I can sell you a $2 million community, and I'd be happy to start there. No, I think in reality, we are an enterprise-grade tool, and there's a lot of requirements that go into building an enterprise-grade tool. It's not only providing the flexibility and deep data collection capabilities that we have on our platform today. It's photos, it's videos, it's surveys, it's a lot of different things. If you want to run a quick MPS campaign and a larger scale conjoint study like on our platform, you have the ability to do that. In addition to that, building an enterprise-grade platform means that we invest substantially in enterprise-grade security, audits, penetration tests, things like that, to build a platform that is suitable for the world of data that we live in today. And so I think, Zach, to answer your question, is I think that building a community on Instagram for 20K is a little different than building an enterprise-grade platform that serves the needs of every department and is able to spread insights across the organization. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rick. I have one final question, but yeah, if there's any last-minute people that are thinking of asking a question, please go ahead and put it in the question box now. But our last question as of right now comes from John. Are there any concerns about giving other departments direct access to the customer?
So, short answer and long answer. So short answer is you want to make sure that everybody throughout every department is connected to the customer in some way. That being said, you do want to have rules of the road. And so traditionally the primary stakeholder or primary owner of the customer community will kind of govern what goes in and what comes out of the community a bit. And so we do recommend kind of a strong governance structure around how the community is going to be used, who has access to what information, but ultimately spreading the information that comes out of the community is imperative.
Oh, we had one last question come in from Lisa. She's saying great presentation. So again, thank you, Rick. What do you think are Fuel Cycle's primary differentiators compared to other providers in the space?
Great question, Lisa. So we tell our customers and prospects three things. So one is it's one platform with countless capabilities, and I think that's really key. Is we have surveys, yes, we have discussion boards, focus groups, rich media and video, all these capabilities directly within one platform. And so what this means is that anything from product development to early stage concept testing to customer experience type work where you're evaluating like NPS and the quality of your customer experience, to things like pricing and discounts and sales, you can do so much in it that you can't necessarily do with less flexible tools, right? Number two is we really pride ourselves on the user experience, right? So we know that creating a phenomenal user experience for both community managers and research managers at our partner brands, and for the end user, your customers, is important. The community, because it's something that your customers interact with, becomes an extension of the brand. And we hold ourselves to a very high standard for the way that it works and the way, the ease of use. We know that if customers in a community have a poor experience, that they're less likely to come back and to share information or share data in the future. So we want to make that as frictionless a process as possible. And number three is we're all in on mobile. So entirely mobile native. We build white label mobile apps. Hertz Hub is a great example, right? Hertz has a white-labeled mobile app that reads Hertz Hub in the App Store that allows their community members to interact with it and provide information on the go. The majority of our traffic is on mobile, right? And so we know that providing a great user experience on the mobile front is imperative as well.
Well, thank you, Rick. And yes, it is a digital world. I mean, one of the great stats that we have is, on average, about our community see about 70% logging in solely through the mobile device. Because at the end of the day, we all have that smartphone in our pocket, and we take it everywhere. So it's about ease of use to the customer.
Yeah, and so I said 3 points. I lied. I'm going to add a fourth. I'm going to add a fourth point, Lisa. So you're going to have to listen to me talk for at least 30 more seconds. Another key thing is that we want you to be able to extract maximum value from the insights generated inside the community. So what that means is, traditionally you run a survey. That survey data is isolated and separate from other survey data, right? They're run in silo. The things that we're doing now and working on now, and if hopefully one of our team members will reach out to you after this webinar and you can have a look at this, is breaking down those silos. So you have the ability to connect and find correlations in data from any profiling point and any survey that you run at any time inside the community. So if you ran a concept test a year and a half ago, you ran one a year ago, and you ran one yesterday, you should be able to combine and understand all that data in context with a few clicks of a button, rather than hours of merging and comparing different PowerPoints or Excel charts. So making data incredibly useful is imperative, right? We know that the ultimate value of the community is the intelligence you're getting out of it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that final point, Rick. And it appears that's all the questions we have today. So I'm going to go ahead and advance to the slide that shows you Rick's information. So if there are any questions that you want to ask but didn't have the time to, please reach out to us directly. You can either go to the Field Cycle website and use the Contact Us form, or feel free to reach out to Rick Kelly directly. But yeah, thank you, Rick, for your time. It's always good information.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining and taking time out of your day.
Yep, thank you.